This first news story coming to us from IGN, written by George Yang. The Last of Us multiplayer game canceled. We'll focus on single-player games going forward. Naughty Dog has stopped development on The Last of Us Online. Its troubled attempt to create an online version of the popular franchise, the studio says that it would have needed to put all of its resources into post-launch content for years to come. And that approach would have severely impacted its ability to develop future single-player games. We realize many of you have been anticipating news around the project that we've been calling The Last of Us Online. There's no easy way to say this. We've made the incredibly difficult decision to stop development on that game. Naughty Dog said in a statement, the studio knew that fans of The Last of Us faction's multiplayer community would be upset with the news and wanted to provide some context as to why it chose to stop development. The multiplayer team has been in pre-production with this game since we were working on The Last of Us Part 2, crafting an experience we felt was unique and had tremendous potential, explained Naughty Dog. As the multiplayer team iterated on the concept for The Last of Us Online during this time, their vision crystallized. The gameplay got more refined and satisfying. We were enthusiastic about the direction in which we were headed. In ramping up to the full production, the massive scope of our ambition became clear. To release and support The Last of Us Online, we'd have to put all our studio resources behind supporting post-launch content for years to come, severely impacting development on future single-player games. So we had two paths in front of us: become a solely live service game studio, or continue to focus on single-player narrative games that have defined Naughty Dog's heritage. Naughty Dog went on to confirm that it has more than one ambitious brand new single-player game that it's working on. However, the studio didn't reveal what they are at the moment. So, yeah, basically they realized, it's hard to make it's hard to make a single a live service game,
and support it for multiple years.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's not necessarily hard to make it because they made it, and they're like, yeah, to support it. It's like, wait, it still takes a full studio to continue to make content and patch bugs and all this stuff for the years to come. Who's going to make the rest of our single player games?
Right.
So, yeah, I on one hand, it's like, all right, I feel bad for the team that was involved because, yeah, they probably put their heart and soul into making this really cool thing that a lot of people were really excited for, and now it's just dead. But on the other hand, I don't know. I'm glad that they didn't release it and then their bread and butter suffer for it. Because I'm glad they realized, like, oh no, we're a single player studio. Like, this is, granted, they could have expanded. They could have gone on a big, like, mass hiring event where they just, like, hire on as many people as possible, because I'm sure a live service game would have paid for itself very quickly. Like, go into debt a little bit, hire a ton of people, and then they probably would have been fine in the long run. But having a focus, I think, is what makes them so unique, as well as a lot of PlayStation studios that don't dabble in live service stuff. I mean, or studios in general, I should say. Like, having a focus is not a bad thing. But yes.
So with this cancellation, that makes 7 of the 12 games have been canceled, right?
I think technically, yeah. Yeah, because 6 were delayed a couple months ago. And then now this one is canceled. So yeah, that's 7 out of the 12, which means there's 5 left still coming out over the next 2 years.
Still way too many.
Yeah, that's still a lot.
Honestly, they should have stopped at 2. If you can't get 1 of 2 to work, call it.
Yeah, I'm curious, like, what what could they, like, who could even be working on them? Because at this point we only know of like 2 or 3 that they're working on. So I can't imagine what the other couple could be, but yeah, it's we actually just recently got a comment on the last time we talked about live service games, where someone was calling us out like, you guys don't understand what live service game is. Like, you guys are a bunch of idiots. Like, what are you, a bunch of like grade schoolers who don't know nothing? Like, I'm like, all right, chill, dude.
Let me at him. Let me at him.
But I'm going to reiterate.
I'll eat him alive.
With that said, I'm going to reiterate the same thing that we said before. And yeah, it's too much. And live service games have such a huge time commitment. Like, it just seems crazy to just dump that, and again, like, for one studio, for one company, I should say, it seems like a lot. If it was like a bunch of different production studios putting out live service games, fine, that sounds great. But the fact that it was 5 PlayStation exclusive live service games, that seems wild to me, because basically you're just asking one player base from one console to spend all their waking time on these 5 games, and it's like, that's a lot to ask of someone. But I don't know.
I would love to see the positive results on that trying to convince somebody to give all their time to one game and it actually working.
Yeah, like but yeah, it's, I don't know. With these games too, like even like if they were going to other consoles, like, and PlayStation would never do that, but if PlayStation was to like allow Xbox to get it in PC, it's like, all right, that makes sense. Putting out 5 games over the next 2 years, live service games over the next 2 years to every console, okay, that makes a lot more sense. It's a lot wider net. But man, just in the PlayStation ecosystem, like, I don't know how they expect people to do that. But I don't know
what's going on over there, man.
Yeah.
PlayStation's been acting and moving real weird lately, and it's making me nervous for them.
Yeah. But as far as Naughty Dog, they're focusing on 2 projects, which I assume is, in the article, it says that they didn't confirm what either of them are, but I feel like it's basically been confirmed that they're working on a part 3, right? Like, didn't they like kind of like allude to it in a previous article? So,
I mean, they did and they didn't. They tried to keep it as vague as possible, which turned out to be the smart move in the long run.
Yeah.
But I do think we'll absolutely get a season 3 because they want to do season 3 of the show.
Yes.
So.
Right. Exactly. So that'll be one of the games, but that just means either the other game, I imagine the other game is going to be a new IP. I would love for them to revisit an old franchise, but I have a feeling it's just going to be...
Talking about Jack, aren't you?
Talking about Jack.
You got to be talking about Jack. Let's go, baby!
Talking about old Jack and Daxter over there. I would love to get...
A reboot?
A reboot?
Or a remake?
Even a remake I'd be happy with.
A reboot
would be sick, but even if it was just a remake, like, I'd be happy with that. But I don't know if they'd do it. I mean, the fact that they have 2 games going on, I feel like in the past, well, I guess in the past they've always had 2 games because they always had someone on like Uncharted and then another team on Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not unheard of for them. So if one's doing The Last of Us still, the other one, could be doing anything. I don't know. What would you prefer? Would you prefer like another entry into Jack and Daxter, or would you like to see what a new IP could be from them?
I mean, I'm always down for a new IP, but if it was between the Jack and Daxter and The Last of Us Part 3, I would pick Jack.
Oh, 100%.
I feel like with Last of Us 2 did a great job, just like Last of Us 1, by leaving the ending up to interpretation.
Yep.
And they made it like such a clean break that you could really just end the story there and it's still fulfilling.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah, there's really no, like, they really did finalize the story. Like, even after the first one, the story was pretty final. Like, I was like even when they were talked about the second one, it's like, what more could they say? Like, they kind of told that story. And it's like, all right, 2 came out. I was like, no, you know what? 2 was good. 2 was great. They told more story and it didn't feel like it was forced in there. But now with 2, I'm kind of feeling the same way as I did with the first one. It's like, how could they possibly add more? Like, it seems pretty, at least with these characters, seems pretty final. So it's like, what more could we possibly get from these characters? Unless it's, I guess, moving on to some new characters or something. I don't know. But I would love a new
eventually
IP.
You're gonna have to, because they're gonna get played out. So
yeah. And also, like, I mean, everyone knows the controversy with the first one too, with like how spoilers, I guess, for Last of Us Part 2, but it was all over the news, and I think we even talked about it, but Joel getting just killed off in the first, like, 30 minutes or hour of the game or whatever. Like, how do they, what's their next stunt now? Because that was kind of like a big thing like that. Oh my gosh. Like, that was like the shock value that kind of sucked people into the story. Like, now I'm in. Like, well, it either turned them off or like, oh shoot, like they just killed off a main character. Like, what's going on? All right, what's their next, like, what's their thing for the next game? What's going to be the big, like, oh shoot moment? Like, they can't do the same thing again. They can't just be like, oh, Ellie's dead now. It's like, wait a second, you did the same thing last time.
I mean, the big thing is going to be, there's going to be a large camp or facility of people who are all immune. And there's some kind of, I don't know, government facility you have to break into to break them out or whatever. Disguised as something else, but that feels right.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know. Could be interesting.
Why? What you got?
But oh no, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of much more. That's what I'm struggling to even think what direction they could go. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Again, I would prefer it to be like we said, like a new IP and then like a remake. Like have one studio work on a new IP because yeah, Last of Us is great, but I would love to see Naughty Dog kind of spread their wings a little bit, kind of like work out their creative muscles a little more, like with creating a whole new world for us. Like not to say there's nothing wrong with a part 3, but I don't know. They're so they are so great at world building. Like Uncharted was incredible. Last of Us has been incredible. Like previous IPs that are incredible. So it's like I'd love to see what they could do. What, 4th time around here? 5th time? How many they've had? Crash, Jack, Uncharted, and Last of Us. So 5th time around. Like, all right, give us something good. What do you got? But I don't know. What are you thinking?
The rumor is it's sci-fi. What they're working on.
That could be really cool.
But I also don't want them to make a sci-fi Last of Us. You know what I mean?
No, I would want it to be more sci-fi Uncharted.
Yeah, or sci-fi. It's, I don't know, maybe a mixture. Or
what I mean by sci-fi Uncharted is more lighthearted.
Yeah,
like don't give me dark, grimy, Last of Us-esque, cyberpunk-esque sci-fi. Give me like, oh, this is like goofy, silly Indiana Jones crap going on, you know, but in space or whatever, or just like, even if it's not space, just futuristic Earth, like that would be kind of like interesting. But
or make it a heartfelt comedy. That would be a challenge for them. Make a comedy game.
Huh. That'd be interesting.
If they got some of the best writers around, they should be able to give it a shot and figure it out.
Like a high on life type thing, but
not that meta.
Not that.
Not that meta.
Oh man. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, stay tuned, and we'll be the first ones to be talking about on the podcast. You'll hear it here first, but until then, yeah, Naughty Dog's gonna keep on naughty dogging, and I'm not mad about it. Thank you so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the whole episode, the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.